In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. Hello and welcome everybody to a new episode of Rafa's Toy Studio, the place where I get to talk about those toys that everyone should check out. And today I get to share, not my entire Green Lantern core collection, but 4 very specific action figures that have brought me so much joy over the past couple of years, whether in reading their stories or just playing with them as action figures. Regardless, these figures have a lot of history behind them, and I really enjoy all of them for the things that they've brought to me. Overall, for those of you that don't know, so these handsome gentlemen were standing right in front of you. These are the 4 Green Lanterns of Sector 2814. These are the Earth Lanterns that specifically work on helping and space. There's basically space cops. There's no other way to put it. Green Lantern is a subsection of the DC universe. Besides Batman and Superman, I think Green Lantern comics were some of the first ones that really got me into the DC universe. Just reading the adventures of Hal Jordan is kind of where it started. You know, Hal right here just hanging out. And just kind of getting a feel for what these guys had to kind of give to me. Because they were stories of adventure, stories of, overcoming your fear. These were stories where you had intergalactic battles in space, and, space is just really cool regardless. You had stories of bravery and excitement and loss and joy, but all of it felt so big because you were in the far reaches of the universe. And you had these 4 that really shined a light, so to speak, on the world at large. And so, while you can enjoy Superman stories and Batman stories or Flash stories or Wonder Woman stories, for me, I really associated DC with a lot of what the Green Lantern Corps had. And so today I'm very excited to share my DC Collectibles Green Lantern action figures, specifically the 4 bad boys themselves, Earth's Sector 2814 Green Lanterns. For those of you that have never actually read a Green Lantern Corps comic book or aren't that familiar, here's a couple of quick things to understand about them. So the Green Lantern Corps, they are space cops. Each one of them is trained to basically watch over a sector of the universe. They are led by the Guardians of the Galaxy, these little blue men that, threw away their emotions a long time ago, and they harnessed the emotion of willpower into a power battery, and they gave out rings. And so with these rings, the rings choose the bearer, and with these rings, you're able to create constructs of light, green light. That's why they're called the Emerald Knights. And basically with these constructs, with their willpower, they can create anything that they can imagine. And it's all run off of willpower. So the people that are chosen to be these Green Lantern Corps, these space cops, or people with great gifts and great willpower in the face of great fear. And everybody's constructs are different. Hal Jordan, because he was a pilot for such a long time, he has a lot of airplanes and guns that he utilizes. Same thing with Jon Stewart, who a lot of his background was in the military, so he has a lot of weapons that he creates with his constructs. Guy has a lot of fists and bumps and things that just kind of hit you with. And then Kyle, because he's the artist, he has a lot more creative constructs in what he creates. The Green Lantern Corps basically are a tight little family that go around and make sure that the universe is safe. So while Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman are on Earth trying to, stop perilous disasters, a lot of the time the Green Lanterns are off planet in different areas because in their section they have a lot of people to take care of, whatever kind of craziness happens around the world. Now, besides these Green Lanterns, of course, I also have Simon Boz, who is now part of the Green Lantern Corps and is another Earthling who's part of Sector 2814, but I'll kind of discuss him at a later time. Right now I want to focus on these 4 hunk of burn and love sexy men who were a big part of that universe that I really loved when I first started reading it. And another Green Lantern that I wish they already had a toy of her was Jessica Cruz. They're doing a lot of fun things with the new Rebirth line that they're doing with DC Comics. Please go check that out. I'm very excited for what Jessica Cruz and Simon Boz are going to be doing in that. Just to kind of really excited for the future of comics. But overall, like I said, so these guys, they're space cops, and the whole thing that they do is they protect the universe. They make sure that there's a universe worth protecting. And overall, these guys are all very interesting in their own right, and I'm very excited to talk about them all specifically. For those of you that haven't been seeing my videos before, the first video I ever did of Rafa's Toy Studio, I shared my DC Collectibles Justice League action figures. And so here again, part of this line, I'm sharing my DC Direct Justice League Green Lantern Hal Jordan action figure. Like I said in the other review, what I like about this toy is they're kind of built like little statues. They don't have a lot of movement necessarily. What really is a key buying focus in these action figures is the amount of detail, specifically in the face that looks just like Hal. The paint job is really nice with the nice metallic sheen gloss of the green with the black. Again, these are space cops, so I mean the uniform looks very, very dead on, very good as far as what we want him to do. And he doesn't have a lot of movability, but enough where you can create adventures and have enough fun with this specific toy. What I really like about this action figure is again that detail. And what I like about that detail is that my favorite Green Lantern is here, and I can play with them and recreate some of my favorite memories. I mean, this is the Green Lantern that, came out during the Silver Age of DC Comics, and specifically was the replacement of Abin Sur, who was one of the greatest Green Lanterns of all time. And what I really like about Hal is, he's that, guns a-blazing, here I come, never fear anything, I'm going to save you, wisecracking, womanizing kind of action figure that still has a heart of gold. And that's something that's showcased very heavily in the Green Lantern Corps. And that's what I've always liked about Hal, is he's at the center of attention like he wants to be, and he's had very meaningful relationships, whether it's with Barry, the Flash, or whether it's even with Sinestro, having this action figure as well, them being close at the beginning, only for it to turn sour later, right, when he joined, we created his own Yellow Lanterns. But overall, Hal, he's been through a lot, through the Parallax situation that he found himself in years prior, where he ended up causing a lot of mayhem. But, he's really redeemed himself, especially in Jeff Johns' Green Lantern Rebirth. I mean, that is fantastic storytelling. If you really want to see great Green Lantern storytelling, please check that comic book out. I mean, there's so many great stories involving the Green Lanterns, but I think you really want to get an idea of who Hal Jordan is, because they consider him the best of the Green Lanterns for a reason, and that's really showcased. And in this action figure, it has all of the likeness, and that's what you really need to recreate these stories. And so he was perfect in Blackest Night, and he was also really good in War of the Green Lanterns. So this is one of those Green Lanterns that really spoke a lot to me, and he's my favorite. He's one of those that I could really connect with in a lot of instances. I laughed at, I cried with. This is an awesome character, and you should really check him out. God damn, just look at this smug, arrogant bastard's face. Here we have my DC Direct Green Lantern Series 5 Green Lantern Guy Gardner action figure. This Guy Gardner is perfect. Guy is one of those Green Lantern characters, or just characters in general in the DC universe, that gets so much flack and gets called out for so many things. Whether it was his abomination of a haircut when he first started, or his bad attitude, or whatever you'll have. He's kind of the lone wolf, the joke of the butt of the joke for a lot of these characters. A lot of people really don't like Guy. And, I can kind of get it in some of the stories, especially in Justice League International. Like, go check that out to kind of see, pompous Guy Gardner. But you really see his character evolve in a lot of other stories. Specifically, check out Rise of the Third Army, especially as the New 52 started. That's a great place to start with Guy, because he's one of my personal favorite characters. He gets a lot of shit for no reason, and I think he really redeemed himself in that arc, especially in his many dances with the Red Lanterns. Also, going back and forth between green and red. The writers really have to decide what they want to do with him. But again, check out his story when he was part of the Red Lanterns. Spoiler as always, I'm sorry, but it's not a super crazy spoiler. But check him out during that time as well. Again, during Green Lantern Rebirth, he played a very pivotal role in that story as well. And again, how can you not like this character? Please go check out those stories. For all of the shit that he's talked about, some of it's true, but this Green Lantern is honestly really cool. And give him a chance. Don't let people tell you otherwise. Guy Gardner is a hero, and he works really hard. And what I like about this toy is kind of with similar to Hal, he doesn't have a lot of movement specifically in all the things that he can do, but he has enough movement that he can do enough moves. And on top of that, he got that trademark smirk, as well as, that really nice sheen. And his officer uniform is very different from Hal's, kind of how, going more of the traditional route, with the green and black. Here we have a collared Guy Gardner, which is nice with his, trademark, in this case, orange hair, but it's more of he's a redhead. But overall, again, wonderful stories. Check out his stories. These two toys are ready to go cause some mayhem. Go get some drinks, see what kind of trouble they can get into. Besides getting Hal and Guy, I always really wanted a Jon Stewart Green Lantern toy as well. And when I first heard about Jon Stewart, I thought, oh, The Daily Show. But no, there is a Green Lantern by the name of Jon Stewart. He's kind of the architect of the Green Lantern Corps. Stoic, silent, comes from a military background. So cool. Jon Stewart is one of those awesome Green Lanterns, and there's a reason that people push for him to be in the movies, especially to be the Green Lantern of the DC EU, which makes sense. Jon Stewart, he's done a lot. He's he's blown up planets. He's remorse for it. He's really been a big part of the Green Lantern Corps. He's a big heart of it, really. He's very responsible for a lot of their successes, and Jon Stewart is just a character that's fantastic in so many different ways. I love this character because I never really got into his character at first, with Guy and Hal being such, glory hogs and very interesting adventures. I always gravitated towards Jon because he was more of a calm, collected, cool, ready to think out a plan before he acted. And I think that these boys really needed that. They needed that. I'm glad Sector 2814 really had a Green Lantern that could do that. With this specific action figure, he's also part of the DC Collectibles line. And just like Hal, I couldn't find him for the longest time, and one day he was just at Hastings, so I'm very happy that he had him, because before that I had this Jon Stewart, which is also really cool, standard 70s look with the awesome ass hair. But specifically, this is more of the modern New 52 look Jon Stewart that, again, you see kicking ass all over the place in all of these Green Lantern stories, and I really enjoy this specific character. He's been revisited a lot, and he's one of those characters that can really be utilized in a lot of different ways. And I think, sometimes is underutilized because he's one of those characters that has a lot of hardship and is able to create so much more from that past. Whether it's his tryst with fatality or, just trying to bring out a new respect within the Corps itself. I believe Jon is a very big part of that. And this is one of those toys that's very helpful. I really like this action figure. Very similar to Hal in the sense of the uniform. Great ring, everything that you need. Pretty versatile. When I got him in at Hastings, the leg's a little bit loose, but it hasn't fallen off, so there's that. And then the only thing that I don't like is I don't like that his eyes are green. He should have just normal looking eyes like everybody else. I don't ever remember necessarily in the comics where he had green eyes, but you have what you have. I can't complain. He's a great addition to the collection. And then finally, here I have the Justice League Series 1 Green Lantern Kyle Rayner action figure. And specifically with Kyle Rayner, I wish I had a more modern look of the character, specifically like the Blackest Night Series 4 one. But I can't complain. This is the only Kyle Rayner I have, and I'm content with what I have. Because, again, he has that iconic look. Specifically, not so much in this action figure, but you can tell that this is Kyle specifically with the spiked up crazy hair, and then the specific torchbearer marking that he has within his actual uniform. What I like... Whereas every single one of these characters, these Green Lanterns, specifically from Sector 2814, they all have their own characterizations. Again, Hal is the leader, the wild gun. Guy, he's the lone wolf. You have Jon Stewart, he's the cool, collected strategist. And here we have the painter, we have the artistic, the fantastic Kyle Rayner, who, became the last hope of the Green Lantern, specifically after, the whole Parallax incident where the Green Lantern Corps was basically destroyed. And so, when Ganthet came and found Kyle, he became the new, basically the future. And he without Kyle Rayner, we wouldn't have had the Green Lantern Corps come back. So I think this is a very important character, and I'm glad to have him part of the collection. And he is the torchbearer. He's very important to so much of the story. And I feel like he kind of, in the sense of Nightwing or some of the Robins, whereas he was supposed to have a much bigger story towards the end, but then, that kind of got eclipsed by the popularity of Batman, specifically with all these other Green Lanterns. In the same case with Kyle. But even, in the newer stories, in the New 52, with the new Guardians, him being, the White Lantern, him being the new big guy kind of in charge, going on his own adventures, I think that's really cool too. But I'm very happy to have this action figure as well, because lots of stories that you can tell. This figure is very articulate, more so than the others, and I really like that about him. So this is one of those toys that I'm very excited to also own. And so with that, that's my Green Lanterns of Sector 2814 review of my action figures. As always, enjoy the things that you like. I enjoy action figures. I like these little pieces of plastic, and a big part of it is because of the stories that they create. Again, I love comic books, I love superheroes, and when I first started getting into, DC, a big part of that was the Green Lanterns. I mean, I got into these characters, and I grew to love them, and all the things that they did, and all the people that they saved, and all the trials and tribulations that they had to go through. And so now that I have these action figures, I get to, play homage to the things that they've done. I can recreate those stories. I can just have fun with them. And, whether you're a collector or not, enjoy the things that you enjoy. Don't let someone tear you down for the things that you like. Because the things that you like, if you like them, more power to you. If you're not hurting anybody, then there should be no problem. So please, if you are interested, go read some of these stories that I just talked about. If not, give them a chance anyway. You never know the things that you might learn. And if you're looking for cool toys to play with and you need to add to your superhero collection, this is a great place to start. These heroes saved the world and the universe countless times. And they're not necessarily Batman or Superman or any of those characters. These are different characters that bring a lot to the table. And so please, check them out. And so with that, enjoy your hobbies, enjoy the things that you like, and always remember to enjoy the plastic.